I'd say that joining us is the Bradford Park Avenue head coach or manager, as the proper term for non-league football gaffers, I think. Craig Elliott, how are you, mate? Are you well?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Thanks for taking the time out of your evening to join us on the West Yorkshire Football Show. I'll start, Craig, with kind of just repeating what I've just said, basically. I imagine for you, this is an extremely busy time of year.
Yeah, it's funny. People always say, "I bet you're glad for the season to end. You can have a rest." And I think most managers in non-league will tell you that's actually when you're most busiest. To be honest with you, in the summer, it don't stop. Obviously, getting players in, releasing players, organising friendlies, training, and making sure everything's in place. So it's been a really busy time, but rewarding as well. Obviously, we've got a lot done, and it was important that we've got a lot done early doors. So I'm really pleased where we are at the minute.
Between the season's end and now, just how different is it? Because I guess, obviously, with players away on holiday for that short period and no real training as such, is it all just about sitting in front of laptops and keeping an eye on your phone and being in constant contact with possible arrivals?
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of phone work, texting, phone calls, meeting players, meeting agents, obviously it's important that you meet as many people as you can, have them conversations that the player's happy, that you're happy with what each other's saying. And then, like you said, sometimes logistics of holidays and things like that can get in the way where you can't get signings over the line for whatever reason, and that can be frustrating. But like I said, it was important that we got going pretty early after the season finished, and we did that. And I've managed to be able to get a lot of work done in good time, to be honest.
How did that feel, Craig, in terms of last season? Obviously, you came in and transformed some of that squad as well, and albeit the season didn't end as probably as what you hoped for, but it possibly gave you a little bit of extra time to assess that squad and see what you needed. Is that almost a bit of a silver lining for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been a manager 16, 17 years now, and to be honest, that's what I've done at every club I've been at. You go in and you usually take over a team that's near the bottom, so you stop the rot, you turn it round, and you try and get the club moving forward. And we did that to a certain extent. I agree, I'd like to have been a bit more nearer to the playoffs towards the end of the season, but different things happened to us. But ultimately, we did stop the rot last year. But I knew, obviously, and it's no disrespect to the lads from last year, we needed to improve, and we needed to improve quickly. And like I said, we've managed to do that. And usually the second phase at being at a club is then sort of trying to raise expectations for fans and volunteers at the club. We've done that with some big signings, and the next bit is always the hardest bit, and that's getting good results on the pitch and trying to bring success as quick as you can to the club.
What's it been like, Craig? Because with respect, and I know we've obviously got to know each other quite well, but like you're one of the well-established managers in the West Yorkshire region. Non-league is your bag. You're a bit of a non-league geek in our region, so you know the players, you know the teams, you know the managers. Yeah. How is that playing in your advantage? Is it playing advantage or playing a disadvantage at this time of year? And is it one of those where people are coming to you to maybe offer players or say, is this player available? What do you think of him, giving references?
Yeah, I mean, look, talk can be cheap sometimes, and I could ring a player and say, look, we want to do well this year, we want to get promoted, but they need to see actions, really. I think it's so important. Again, I'm trying to rely on my experience that it's so important for everybody at the club that you make one big signing to start with. That really shows your intent to the fans, to other players that you want to bring in. And I think signing Marcus Carver as early as we did were really important, because then that shows that we're not just talking a good game, we're actually sort of delivering. And I think a signing like that then encourages other players to want to join. The fans sort of want to get on board, the volunteers want to work a bit harder and contribute more. And like I said, it's raising expectations. And with my knowledge in non-league, you're right, I know every league, I'm a bit of a geek, and it's then trying to put them sort of meat to the bones, really, and sort of work through the spine. And we've managed to do that, and one by bit, we've got some good players in. And I'm really pleased that these lads have come in and trusted what I'm saying and seen the vision of what we want to do at BPA this year.
It helps if I mute myself. In terms of recruitment at this level, agents, you mentioned the word agents are being in contact with them. A lot of people expect that, there is that kind of industry in steps 8, 9, 10 of the non-league pyramid, but just tell us a little bit about how that and how it kind of works at this level, and frankly, as a manager, how frustrating that can be.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. It were a big learning curve for me, especially when I was at Boston United. At that level and at a big club, agents were really difficult at times. And initially, in my younger days, I didn't sort of take them too well, but then I realised you need them on board. You need to work with them. They're there to work for everybody. So, unfortunately, the part and parcel of football. They've got a job to do. We've got a job to do, and I can see some sort of strengths to having agents. It sort of helps the players understand contracts. It helps to give transparency, but then sometimes they can get in way because they're obviously showing these players to other clubs, and you're in competition with other teams, and that can be hard. But I think again, I'm experienced enough now to sort of dealt with them, and you have to embrace it and work with them, and we've managed to do that. Some can be better than others, but that's just the nature of football. But yeah, I've got to say that the ones that I've got to know over the years, and there's a good working relationship, and we can work together, and it gets the job done pretty quickly, actually.
I'll let Chris play with some fancy buttons so we can get a bit of a graphic up. But there's some business so far, Craig, in terms of Bradford Park Avenue. Do you want to just talk us through some of those new signings? You mentioned Marcus Carver earlier. How did that come about? What kind of qualities did you see in him that you felt it was the rest of them? And obviously the rest on the list, as you can see there, Prince Apollo, Jack Hall, Luke Parkin, Danny Ellis as your assistant, and Charlie Winfield. Without going into too much, what qualities did you see in them that you felt was the right fit for the club?
Well, initially, obviously, I knew the spine of the team. It goes without saying at any level, it needs to be strong, it needs to be experienced, it needs to be reliable. And I tried to work from front to back this time, actually, because I felt like that this league, you need to have a person that can be a target man, can score goals. And I thought Marcus can do all of that, really. I've obviously come across him a lot from his Chorley days, Southport days, from playing against my teams. And he's so hard working, and his enthusiasm sort of runs through to the rest of the team, and we'd been in talks with him since I think sort of February actually last year, and I kept in touch. And I think again, some players get to a stage where they just want to play, they want to be the main man, and we could sort of give that to him, really. And yeah, like I said, he was the first start, and then he sort of worked down. And I think you're looking at Jack Auld, keeper, another important position. I think me and Carl obviously talked, and we were so impressed with him when he come in. And people don't often see what players like off the pitch, but such a great lad as well. You could see he was so grounded, so hard working, and somebody that we could see really developing. And I can see him moving on in the future and getting back in Football League. And if he uses Bradford as that stepping stone, then so be it. I'll do everything I can to progress him. And then obviously then you look into Middle at Park, and obviously getting Prince Apollo or a superb signing. It gives you that stature, that presence, the physicality that you need, especially in our league as well. I think we know at this level there's sometimes not much football played, and you need to have that physical side to your midfield, and it'll bring all that quality. And and also we're lucky enough to have had Mark Beavers as well, who we've kept from last year. So he adds to that spine, and you can see straight down there there's a good solid base there to build on. And and then we sort of try to work on the flanks then. And young Charlie, obviously, really highly recommended. I watched him myself a lot last year. I did a lot of research on him, talked to a lot of people, and again, another lad that there's a lot of potential to come in and sort of kick on. And it's and then obviously Luke Parkin as well. Superb last year for Emily, really stood out for me. I put him in my team of the year, to be honest with you, when I picked it at the end. And another player that experienced, knows it, lives near the ground as well. So again, ticks all the boxes.
Fab. So in terms of what's next, obviously I'm guessing, you're still talking, texting, phoning people, racking up your phone bill as normal. Yeah. What does the next couple of weeks look like? I'm guessing you're already getting plans and sorted for pre-season with friendlies coming up. What does it look like from your perspective as a manager that you'd expect in place to come in and hit that ground running on the first day of pre-season?
Yeah, I think there's one or two maybe key signings still to come in terms of strengthening that starting 11, if you like. And then we've got sort of 10 to 12 trialists coming in over pre-season that I'm really excited to have a look at, players that the scouts have brought in, recommendations. And I've done my own homework on some of them. And, I'm really excited by having a look at some of them lads as well. So fingers crossed we can sort of get a couple, maybe 2 or 3 out of them sort of players that come in. And then literally end of this month, we'll get in and we'll work for 5 weeks, training 3 times a week. We've got 7 friendlies arranged and really get going. I'm not one for dragging out a pre-season. I noticed somebody were back last night. I think
yeah, the way I saw
madness, And look, each to their own as managers and clubs. But I've never been. I hate pre-season. To be honest with you, it's a drag. But so I try and really condense it into a 5-week block and really blast it. I think we all putting enough over a season without dragging it out too long. And in them 5-week periods, we'll train hard, get loads of games in. And I think it ends obviously with a little trip to Scotland, which is important for us because the thing that we do need to make is that team spirit, because that's what teams have got on us in this league. They've been together a long time, and it's worth a lot of points, and it's a big advantage. And unfortunately, we can't just create that overnight. So we'll be working hard in that period to create that team spirit and togetherness and a style of play that we know is going to be successful.
One of the other arrivals, of course, from the summer is not just on the pitch, but in the dugout with you as well. Of course, Danny Ellis, who,
Yeah.
to be fair, you mentioned obviously how important it is to create that team spirit. Danny's been in some really good teams over the years as well.
Yeah.
What will Danny bring to kind of, to your backroom staff, and what likelihood of seeing him on the pitch at times if need be? He can still play.
Yeah, well, exactly that. Obviously, he's still very fit, and he will sort of help out as and when, and we'll need him to do that, throughout the season, whether that's coming off the bench or maybe starting in some games, So, but he'll bring a real winning mentality. He's always been a winner. He's played like a winner. I quite liked how he talked last year. He was like me. He's used to having successful seasons, and he didn't enjoy getting relegated at Liverpool. I didn't enjoy finishing mid-table at Bradford, but what it did do, it brought a real hunger to us both to want to have a successful season this year. And there's no guarantees with that, but we shared that same passion. And again, somebody that's local, somebody that's full of enthusiasm, and it's a no-brainer for me to sort of bring him in. I've always tried to bring assistants in. They've got a sort of link to the club, to the surroundings, that people can sort of attach to. And I think he's a perfect sort of example of that, really, that people in the area are really sort of enjoying being around the ground and on the pitch on the odd occasion.
Yeah, he's a really good lad, is Danny. I've known him well over the years.
Yeah.
So don't worry, next time we need a Bradford Park Avenue representative on the show, I'll tap Danny up instead and give you a night off.
Yeah.
Your final thoughts then, kind of looking ahead to this season then, Craig, and what lies ahead? Because, I mean, it's going to be another competitive division. Obviously, the Leeds Cleethorpes and obviously their relatively renowned spending habits that they have as a club is one thing. But to get, the likes of Matlock and Blythe Spartans going down, it's just as mad, to be honest. The fact that Blythe Spartans were a National League North side only a couple of years ago, so they need to rebuild. Matlock have always wanted to be quite big spenders, and it seems to be the case again this season. It's going to be a really tough league with, I think, another, besides ourselves, yourselves, another 6 West Yorkshire sides in as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a stronger league than last year. I do. I think the North East teams will be strong. There's quite a few of them now. I hope they try and sort of pinch each other's players, and that might make some of them weaker. But I do think it'll be stronger. Like you said, Blythe and Matlock, big clubs in their own right. Emily's still in here. They'll be strong again, and along with a few others, Dunstan. So it's going to be a tough league. But look, any league's tough. Any league's hard to get out of. Any promotion's difficult to achieve, and it'll be no different next year. And my mentality will be the same as what it's been for the last 16, 17 seasons, is to be successful, to be challenging, to win the league. And if we can't win the league, we want to go up through the playoffs, So, and it'll be hard, but we're giving it everything we've got to do that. And like I said, be nice and positive. And I'm really happy where we are at a minute. There's no guarantees with what you brought in, but we'll work hard and give it its best shot. And I just hope we can put a smile on everybody's face really around the club, because it's not been a great few years for the club, And I've got to say, since I've come in, I've been really sort of surprised at how brilliant it's been off the pitch. Everything's in place. There's some really good people there, some good volunteers, and I just hope it